And good afternoon. It's about 4:20 on the 30th of January, and our board meeting has just finished here at the Water's Edge Visitor Centre in Barton-on-Humber, which is about as east as the RDaSH patch goes, but it's lovely to be here, which is the nearest place to my home that we get. So we've had a great day, very busy board meeting, lots and lots of discussions on some very serious topics. So I'm just going to pick out some highlights and a reminder that, in fact, the whole of the board meeting is recorded and is available on the web. So we started with our usual patient story and the parents of a young lady with learning disabilities, Down syndrome, came to see us about her complex needs and her complex care. And it was great to talk to them. They were very appreciative of the care she'd received, particularly from RDaSH, and very multidisciplinary care. Not to say there weren't some mistakes made, because there were, but it was, and we've discussed those this afternoon, but really good to see parents content and content with their daughter's care and happiness right now. We importantly approved a new structure for how we deal with eating disorders across South Yorkshire, a piece of work that came out of our work with the other 4 trusts across South Yorkshire that we work in the South Yorkshire Collaborative. And we have agreed the joint committee, as it's called, between ourselves, the 4 trusts, as to how we commission and deliver eating disorder services for children and adults. It's a national first. We're very proud of it. It goes live 1st of April. We've still lots of work to do to make it work, but regardless of that, really, really pleased at the fact that we've managed to work together across South Yorkshire to bring this about. So we await its launch with a great deal of excitement, even if we have got quite a lot of hard work to do to ensure that it works in the way we want it to work. We had a really good report from Richard Chillery, who's our Chief Operating Officer, on Promise 14, which was about how we are improving our waiting times and reducing what are commonly known as waiting lists. You know it's a big issue nationally. Waiting lists in the NHS, we're doing a lot of work, we're putting a lot of resources in, and we have a target to have no services with waits more than 4 weeks by April 26, and we are really on a good trajectory to meet that. Obviously some services are doing better than others, some are already at 4 weeks, which is fabulous, but to see all that work go in and for it to be so important to patients and the care that we deliver, you know, really congratulations and thanks to everyone who's been involved and who remains involved as we push to that April 26 time. And again, you know, it's not, these things don't happen without lots of hard work, but we're very proud of the work we're doing on waiting lists. Some of that has been about cleansing the data to make sure that all those people on our waiting lists, all those waiting times were real. You've got to cleanse your data to get down to which ones are actually waiting times. We've done that, and we are well on track to deliver that promise. Equally, that promise does also talk about the need that urgent referrals should take no more than 48 hours. That isn't as advanced, but work is happening, and we're happy with the track that it's taking. But yeah, there's a lot more work to do on that part, Promise 14, than on the waiting lists themselves. Usual financial reports, of course it is. We're nearly at the end of the year. There are big announcements today from government on their priorities and the finances for the NHS. We didn't have them for this board meeting, so we were we couldn't discuss those today, but we did sign off our capital programme. £5 million worth of capital programme, which will see more work happen at Great Oaks in Scunthorpe, and on a frailty centre of excellence and a new high dependency unit. So really good to see that coming forward. Always good to see, you know, new capital programmes happening. Better for patients, better for staff, and yeah, so signing the £5 million capital programme off today was really important. We had a big report from Carleen Holden, who's our Director of People and OD, on our workforce, and the fact that we are really reducing the number of vacancies in the Trust. Now, that's obviously really important to patient care, but it also means we're not bringing agency staff in. We do still have some bank staff working with us, we always will, but really good to see us filling all those vacancies so that we have permanent members of staff dealing with patients, and vacancy levels have really, really come down. And you can't do that if people see you as a bad place to work. So it is something to do with culture and being a good employer. So we're filling vacancies, which makes me think that people see us as a good place to work, which is so very important to me. And perhaps finally from Steve Forsyth, who's our Chief Nurse, on Promises 3 and 4, which deals with two really important areas. One is about how we work with patients at the heart of what we do. So the introduction of Care Opinion, which is this online way of people letting us know how our services were for them, has been hugely successful, getting lots of feedback and loads of people putting stories on there, which is really going to help us change services to make them more responsive to what patients and communities need. And secondly, our promise on the number of volunteers. Steve was so pleased to announce at the board that he was due to get 250 volunteers by the end of March. He has 251 this morning, so he's ahead of trajectory, and he was absolutely thrilled. We've got a 350 target for April next year, but we're seeing a huge diversity now in the people who are coming to want to volunteer with us in all sorts of ways, and a diversity in the roles that they're taking on within the Trust. So diversity in the people themselves and diversity in what they're doing, and indeed an increase in people gaining apprenticeships and permanent roles with us through that volunteering route. And that's a huge part of volunteering, isn't it? That some people want to volunteer just because they want to volunteer, and it's an important thing for them to do. But for many people, it's a route to employment, and really very happy to see that working within the Trust. You'll have seen it's been a big day. There is much more that I could talk to you about this afternoon, but I hope you've got a flavour of a board that met in a very beautiful venue, right on the banks of the Humber today, and spent from 10 o'clock till 4:15 debating things that are important to us, to you, and to the communities that we serve. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you again in March. Thanks very much.